a narrow strait, a stretch of water most people can't even find on a map. And yet, it may decide the future of the Pacific. In these waters, new weapons are being prepared. Weapons designed to hunt China's warships. Welcome back to Shadows of Strategy, where we uncover the moves shaping global power. Today, we dive into a question with enormous consequences. Can the Philippines, armed with America's new ship-killer missile system, truly stand in China's way? The Luzon Strait, a gateway between the northern Philippines and Taiwan, is no longer just a shipping lane. It is becoming one of the most heavily militarized choke points in the world. And at the center of this buildup stands a system few outside the defense world had ever heard of until now. The NMESIS, the Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System. But why does this matter so much? To understand, we need to step back and look at the geography. To the north of Luzon lies Taiwan, just 200 kilometers away. To the west, the South China Sea, the flashpoint of Beijing's territorial ambitions. To the east, the vast Pacific, where American carriers patrol. And right in between, the Luzon Strait, a narrow corridor that funnels nearly 40% of China's trade and serves as a critical route for its navy. If a war ever erupts over Taiwan or over the South China Sea, every major Chinese naval force will have to pass through these waters. That is why Washington and Manila have chosen this ground for their next defensive line. And that is why Beijing sees this buildup as a direct threat to its ability to operate freely. So, what exactly is NMESIS, and why is it drawing so much attention? Unlike traditional missile batteries, NMESIS is unmanned, mobile, and built for stealth. Its weapon, the Naval Strike Missile, can travel more than 180 kilometers, fly low over the waves, evade radar, and hit ships with precision. In plain words, this system is built to ambush warships. Once deployed on islands, it turns them into bristling strongholds, dangerous for any fleet that dares to come close. During the Balikatan military exercises, U.S. Marines practiced moving NMESIS into Philippine territory. These drills weren't just symbolic training, they were rehearsals for a real scenario, showing Beijing that Luzon and Batanes could one day be lined with these anti-ship launchers. And the locations are no accident. One of the new EDCA sites is in Cagayan, just south of the Bashi Channel, the exact path Chinese submarines and destroyers would take to enter the Pacific. By putting NMESIS there, Manila and Washington are essentially building a firewall, a missile barrier designed to box in China's fleet. This is why Beijing is alarmed. For China, the Luzon Strait is more than just a sea lane. It is a lifeline, the only route that allows its navy to break out of the first island chain and project power into the Pacific. If those straits are blocked by Allied missiles, Beijing's blue water navy is trapped, hemmed in by geography. So, can NMESIS really stop China? Here's where the suspense deepens. On paper, the strengths are obvious. The system is mobile, unmanned, and hard to detect. The Naval Strike Missile is accurate and deadly, capable of sinking far larger vessels. It is also cost-effective. One missile costs only a fraction of the destroyer it might destroy. But there are weaknesses. The range is shorter than China's long-range carrier killer missiles, like the DF-21 and DF-26. The Philippines cannot sustain these systems on its own. It depends heavily on American logistics and resupply. And once detected, these launchers could be targeted by drones, jets, or precision missile strikes. So the system alone will not stop China. But that may not be the point. Its purpose is to raise the cost of Chinese aggression to an unbearable level. In military strategy, deterrence isn't about absolute defense. It's about making your enemy hesitate, making them realize the risks outweigh the rewards. And yet, deterrence carries its own dangers. By deploying these systems, the Philippines and the United States send a clear warning. Any Chinese naval move through Luzon will be contested. But at the same time, this creates a temptation for Beijing. If China believes these missile sites could trap its navy, it may decide to strike first, taking them out before they pose a threat. This is the paradox of modern deterrence. The stronger your defenses, the greater the chance they could become an enemy's first target. And the Philippines is not alone in this strategy. Japan has its own missile units on the Ryukyu Islands. The US has built up defenses in Guam and Palau. Together, they form what analysts call the missile wall of the first island chain. Luzon is the missing link in that chain. And Manila is now stepping into that role. For the United States, this is a victory, a strategic foothold close to Taiwan. For the Philippines, it is both a shield and a gamble. Protection against China's pressure, but also a risk of being on the front lines if conflict breaks out. So the question remains, can NMESIS in Luzon stop China? The real answer lies somewhere between yes and no. Alone, the system cannot halt the full weight of the People's Liberation Army Navy, but in coordination with US and allied forces, can complicate Beijing's strategy, delay its movements, and force China to pay a much higher price for any military gamble. And perhaps more importantly, it changes the psychology of the region. For decades, the Philippines was seen as a passive player, caught between giants. Now, with NMESIS on its soil, it signals something different. Manila is willing to turn its islands into fortified choke points, willing to play an active role in shaping the future of the Pacific. That message alone carries weight, because in geopolitics, power is not only measured in weapons fired, but in the fear those weapons create. So, as the waters of Luzon grow more crowded with ships, and the air thickens with warnings, one question remains: will Beijing call Manila's bluff? Or will it back down before the porcupine's quills draw blood?